This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some major updates to share with you. With the Inflation Reduction Act passed, Democrats want more aid to the American people. Some of them are talking about executive actions or an entirely new bill, like Bernie Sanders is saying. I'll let you know the latest of that and what could possibly in it in terms of student loan forgiveness, $2,400 boost, $2,000 stimulus checks, child tax credits. We'll go over all that and see which is better, executive actions or an entirely new bill. I'll play the video clip from Bernie Sanders. I'll go over the latest stimulus updates like this. Americans applying for $500 monthly direct payments have just days left to apply. And then first half of $1,652 direct payments to be sent in just 15 days for Social Security. And then this one, direct payments worth $3,000 available for key workers. And I'll give you some other more important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Thursday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 checks to my subscribers. Details down in the description below. So House Democrats want more executive actions from Biden. This is from a while ago, but they're still talking about it. How even though that the Inflation Reduction Act passed, the Democrats wanted a lot more out of that bill. They wanted more stimulus provisions, more aid to the Americans, but the only thing holding them back was Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. If those two Democrats weren't there, they probably would have had a lot more in that bill. Some of the things that were said that they wanted, stimulus check update, Bernie Sanders pushes for child tax credit extension, so he tried to get that. Bernie tried to get that into the Inflation Reduction Act, but Democrats shut him down on that. In terms of other stimulus provisions, if you remember this was a while ago, Tlaib and Jayapal unveiled bill to provide $2,000 monthly payments to everyone. So Pramila Jayapal, I would say, is probably leading the progressives in terms of more stimulus provisions getting into executive action. So even Pramila Jayapal said in an interview that after the Inflation Reduction Act passes, she would like to see more executive actions, executive orders, giving out more stimulus provisions. Could there be a $2,000 monthly check? That is unlikely in terms of an executive action, as well as legislation passed through Congress at this moment. Also, Bernie Sanders, Warren, and colleagues introduced legislation to expand Social Security by $2,400 a year and extend solvency for 75 years. So this was a promise by President Biden that he was going to pass Social Security boost of $2,400, which is an extra $200 per month. But President Biden did not follow through with that promise yet. Is it going to happen, though? Take a look at Bernie Sanders and what he thinks should happen. Bernie Sanders actually thinks there should be a new bill altogether. Take a look at this.
You know, Wolf, in the real world, our people in this country are hurting. Half of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. We pay the highest prices in the world for health care. We got 18 million families spending 50% of their limited incomes on housing. We have people who cannot afford child care or pre-K. We have a home health care crisis in this country with people who are elderly or disabled are forced into nursing homes because they don't have the home health care that they need. We have millions of seniors who don't have any teeth in their mouth. They can't afford hearing aids. They can't afford eyeglasses. In other words, the working families of this country, the senior citizens, the children. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country. And what my understanding of what politics and government is about is to address the needs of ordinary people, not just big money interests. So the bottom line is this bill that we brought forth on Sunday had zero Republican support. We couldn't find one Republican who was prepared to stand up for working people. And you had two corporate Democrats who are not prepared to stand up for working people. And that's where it was. But if you're asking me, am I disappointed that we have not addressed the major crises facing the working class, the middle class, lower income people? I am. What I want to see right now is that the Congress of the United States, working with President Biden next year, develop an agenda that says to working families and the elderly and the kids, we understand your pain and that we have the guts to take on the big money interest at a time when we have more income and wealth inequality than any other major country on earth. You know, Wolf, you've heard me say this again, and I think recent events point this out. This country is moving toward an oligarchic form of society where you got 3 people on top who own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. You got 3 Wall Street firms that have control assets of over $20 trillion. That's the GDP of the United States. Unbelievable wealth and power at the top, while the middle class is in decline and lower income people are really suffering. We need to work right now, next year, with President Biden on an agenda that addresses those issues.
What are your thoughts on what Bernie Sanders has to say? So when it comes to executive actions for those stimulus provisions versus a big bill legislation going through Congress, I think it depends on what's being done and the time of the year. When the midterm elections are coming and the Democrats want to maintain their position in the Congress, there could be a bill. Well, actually, there won't be a bill that'll be done before midterm elections. The Inflation Reduction Act was the last one. So if Democrats want more done, President Biden is going to have to do executive actions, which is probably what he's going to do with student loan forgiveness. But there could be a few other things which could keep Democrats in Congress for the midterm elections. When President Biden, if he is going to run again in 2024, he could do more executive actions or have a bigger bill with more stimulus provisions and maybe bring out those stimulus checks again. Stimulus checks could be a possibility before the midterm elections, although very unlikely, unless President Biden does some type of stimulus or some type of executive action. When it comes to other stimulus news, Americans applying for $500 monthly direct payments have just days left to get relief cash. See the exact deadline. So this is going on in Evanston, Illinois, and applications close on August 29th to get $500 monthly payments. And then this article right here, Social Security payments, first half of $1,652 direct payment to be sent in just 15 days. So if you're on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, there's really nothing new here. They're just kind of putting a new twist in this article, but I wanted to share with you just in case you get fooled by somebody else. So basically, the maximum you could get on SSI is $841, which is paid on the first of every single month. So 841 times 2 equals $1,652. So there's really nothing new here. It's just kind of a play on words. So disregard that. If you're on SSI, there's nothing new there. And then Stimulus Update 2022, direct payments worth $3,000 available for key workers. So this is actually big news. This is going on in New York, and the New York healthcare employers to register their workers for bonus payments worth up to $3,000. So basically, healthcare workers, so the announcement from the governor, Kathy Hochul, today I'm proud to launch our healthcare worker bonus program. This is about more than saying thank you to our frontline heroes. It's about investing in our future by strengthening and growing the workforce while ensuring we deliver the highest quality care for New Yorkers. So basically, the way it works out is if you're a healthcare worker, make less than $150,000 a year, employees can receive 2 payments over 2 vesting periods with a maximum total of $3,000 or 2 payments of $1,500. So if you're in New York, you're a healthcare worker, you can get up to $3,000, which is pretty nice. Also, when it comes to student loan forgiveness, it's frustrating and stressful. 40 million people are in the dark about whether or not student loan payments will resume. So still 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks actually, before the student loan payments have to resume. And still no word from a spokesman of the Biden administration or Biden himself, probably going to announce it any day now. It would be a political disaster if they make 40 million people have to pay their student loans again, regardless of whether or not what the right thing is to do. But I could see that messing up the Democrats in the midterm elections, which is why they probably want to keep the pause. And in terms of cancellation, Biden administration cancels another $3.9 billion in student loan debt for former for-profit college students. So this is from ITT College. I remember seeing commercials on this all the time. Take a look at this video clip explaining more.
If you have watched TV in the past 30 years, odds are you have seen commercials like these.
Have you ever worked with anything high-tech?
No.
Thank you for the resume.
But we're looking for someone with
More education.
Some experience.
Good luck to you.
What you don't know can hurt you.
Because you can't get the jobs of tomorrow until you get the skills
of today. Start by calling ITT Technical Institute.
You gotta call ITT Tech. ITT Technical Institute. Education for the future.
ITT Tech was one of the biggest for-profit college chains in the country. At its height, it boasted 140 campuses across 38 states. It had hundreds of thousands of students. Until, very suddenly, in 2016, it didn't.
Broken hearts, broken dreams, and broken promises. Thousands of ITT Tech students woke up this morning to some shocking news. Their campuses were closed, and we're talking all of them, for good.
Shuddered to the surprise of students, some showing up today, preparing for the start of classes next week.
My student loans, and if my credits are going to transfer anywhere else, like, am I just screwed?
That sudden closure of ITT Tech came after the Department of Education stopped the college from enrolling new students who were using federal financial aid. At that point, ITT Tech was knee-deep in lawsuits and federal investigations. They alleged that the school was misleading students about their chances of finding a job after graduating, their ability to transfer credits to other schools, and most importantly, trapping students in predatory loans. As the director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau put it at the time, in some cases, students did not even know they had a private student loan until they started getting collection calls. But I am happy to report some very good news on this specific front. The Biden administration just announced that they are canceling $4 billion in federal ITT Tech student debt. Because of what the Education Department alleges were ITT's fraudulent and misleading practices, the Biden White House is canceling the federal debt for all ITT students who were enrolled in the college between 2005 and when it closed in 2016. That applies to 208,000 people. The White House says they have approved $32 billion of this kind of targeted student debt forgiveness, which is relief for about 1.6 million people. But in addition to that, for months, President Biden has been considering erasing up to $10,000 of student debt for all federal borrowers. And that, of course, would be a much bigger deal. On that front, Biden has been promising to make a decision by the end of August, when the moratorium on loan payments is set to expire. So that means sometime in the next 2 weeks. Worth keeping an eye on.
What are your thoughts on that? Should student loans be forgiven? Should they not be forgiven? If so, how much? If not, why not? Let me know your thoughts on that. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I'm going to tell them one thing they should do. Treat people equally. Because that you have to be nice to people. If you be nice to people, they will be nice to you. It will work. Try. I done it to some of my friends. Some of the kids been my friends when I did that. And also it's good for helping people. And that's all the information that I want to talk to you for today. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. Don't forget about the $200 checks. And if you want to see any of my other videos on my other channels, you can click right up here. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for watching.